Graeme Smith is coming out to bat, one of the great men of the modern game, and Sydney is standing to him.
When you see an Australian crowd at the SCG on their feet and cheering for the South African captain as he walks out to bat, you know something extraordinary is happening.
The moment he walked down the race, it's one of these sporting moments that everyone here will never forget.
That's exactly what happened in a career-defining moment for South African captain Graeme Smith.
It ended up being one of the most iconic moments in my career.
When South Africa toured Australia in 2008 for a 3-match test series.
Most eagerly awaited 3 mobile test series between Australia and South Africa.
Graeme Smith was struggling with a very bad tennis elbow since the first test, but steered South Africa to a record-breaking 6-wicket victory by chasing a massive 414 runs for victory after epic centuries by Smith and de Villiers.
Take on the world champions in their home turf, but to win a game like this.
And you go to Boxing Day at the MCG, and I'll never forget that, walking out, 90,000 people.
The second Boxing Day test match at the MCG was an even bigger victory for South Africa. They beat the Aussies by 9 wickets with a brilliant century by JP Duminy and 2 half-centuries by Graeme Smith.
Melbourne on Boxing Day and then win it is something special. I'll remember it for a long time.
And South Africa had won a historic test series on Australian soil for the very first time.
Probably one of the most iconic occasions, and we had one of the all-time great celebrations.
But the third New Year's test in Sydney proved that this series was anything but dead.
You 2-0 up, you've won in Australia for the first time, so you're on cloud nine.
Australia batted first and scored a brilliant 445 in the first innings. Neil Mackenzie and Graeme Smith got South Africa off to a steady start, but in the 13th over at 35 without loss, Mitchell Johnson was just too good for Smith.
Oh, it's ripped into the gloves. Maybe hit that crack. Up it came.
He hit Smith on his left hand, his leading hand, and it was immediately clear. Smith was in serious trouble.
Give you a trip to the hospital for an x-ray. I think that could well be broken.
He left the field in agony, retired hurt, and before the end of that day's play, it was confirmed.
It's a left-hand fracture of the 5th metacarpal.
Graeme Smith was out for the rest of the test match and the following ODI and T20 series with a severely broken hand. The next morning, Smith flew to Melbourne for an emergency meeting with a specialist, while his team finished the innings without him on a respectable 327, but still 118 runs behind Australia. Australia added another 257 runs in their second innings and was still going strong, but with about 2 hours remaining in the 4th day, Ponting made a risky but challenging declaration and left South Africa to score 376 to win with more than a day's play remaining. Morne Morkel insisted on opening the batting for his injured captain. He fell for a duck in the 2nd over, but Mackenzie and Amla steered the ship to a solid 67 for 1 at the end of day 4. And on the last day, any result was still possible.
Where both teams are still to be fully tested today. Pick a winner? No.
Smith went to the ground as a spectator to support his team with his arm in a cast. He had no kit, no equipment, and no intention of walking onto a cricket field for the next 6 weeks.
Because I was now going to be out for 6 weeks. Arrived at the ground, no gear, getting ready to fly home.
Every time the South African batters got a partnership going, the Aussies made a crucial breakthrough. And when JP Duminy fell with a score at 166 for 5, it became clear that South Africa was not going for the win anymore, but decided to fight it out for a draw.
Victories out of the South African sides now. It surely must just be survival.
South Africa defended like their life depended on it, but the Aussies kept making crucial breakthroughs at the right times. And when Paul Harris fell at 202 for 8, with more than an hour and a half left in the day, the match was done and dusted. Or was it? Because when Makaya Antini joined Steyn at the wicket,
Makaya Antini's the new man and the last man. 25 and a half overs left. That's too many for the South African captain.
they somehow managed to scrape together a partnership with incredible tail-ender skill and luck.
Oh, that's it. He dropped it. He dropped it.
And before the Aussies knew it, they managed to survive for more than an hour, taking South Africa to the brink of a possible draw and an undefeated series.
Amazing, this partnership has lasted 100 deliveries. Is there another twist?
And it was during this time that Graeme Smith had a crazy idea.
Watching with a broken hand, and all of a sudden the boys are fought into a position where you know, it made me think, do I, don't I, you know?
What if a wicket fell and he only needed to survive for a few minutes? What if he borrowed a kit and equipment from his teammates, padded up his hand and went out to bat? The physiotherapist said, absolutely not. The psychologist left it up to him to decide. And the coach, Mickey Arthur, said,
Mickey Arthur was go for it.
but as soon as Ntini and Steyn celebrated their unlikely 50-run partnership,
We assumed an hour ago that this game was all done. How? I had no idea. Why don't we have a human drama if Graeme Smith did come out to bat and could barely hold on to the bat?
their luck finally ran out.
Oh, now then, another double, yes!
The crowd went insane and the Aussies celebrated a hard-fought test victory.
Australia had won the test match and we were all starting to celebrate with the Aussies.
But then,
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute, what's happening?
all celebrations were crushed when Graeme Smith appeared from the dressing room, fully kitted, padded up and ready to bat.
Graeme Smith is coming out to bat. The drama is by no means done.
The entire SCG crowd and the Aussie team watched as the only man who stood between them and the test victory walked out with a tennis elbow and a broken hand to try and save his team.
He definitely made us worry a little bit. He showed great courage and he wanted to save that test.
And instead of deafening boos, the Australian crowd rose to their feet and cheered.
This is a mighty figure.
And the Sydney crowd really appreciated Graeme Smith's courage, all up on their feet.
Everybody understood that they were witnessing an incredibly brave and special moment. The series was already won, but being able to not only beat the #1 team in the world, but to deny them a single test victory in their own backyard was an opportunity that Graeme Smith was never going to pass on, broken hand or not.
No plaster cast.
I didn't have whites with me, so I borrowed Callis Harrow's jersey.
With only half an hour remaining in the match, the strategy was clear. Keep Smith off strike as much as possible and don't play at any ball that you don't have to. And the only solution for Aussie captain Ricky Ponting to win this match was to bring back the same bowler who broke Smith's hand in the first place.
Johnson will be looking to land the ball in that crack, the crack that broke Graeme Smith's hand.
The Aussie bowlers were exhausted after a full, hard-fought day in the field. But not only were they not holding back or taking it easy on the injured Smith, they actually strategized to try and hit his hand again.
I'd thought about, maybe try and get him on the hand again.
No sentiment in this game, and I just can't believe he didn't receive a bouncer.
Smith and Ntini fought one ball and 1 minute at a time, leading out every last drop of luck they had.
To Doug Bollinger. Oh, and he's actually, Matthew Hayden's now dropped in. No.
There's another twist.
But with only 12 balls remaining, the commentators predicted a crucial mistake that Smith was about to make.
Do you reckon Graeme Smith is going to try and get a single? Surely he'd have to now.
Mitchell Johnson. But no, he decides against the single.
Instead of getting off strike, Smith's natural instincts took over to protect the tail ender, and he denied a comfortable single to keep the strike.
Could have got off strike, but the batting instinct in me was to keep the strike.
And the very next ball, with only 11 balls remaining in the match, Johnson steamed in.
Oh, he done it! Mitchell Johnson's done it!
The ball hit a crack, and Smith never stood a chance. Australia clinched a well-deserved victory in the dying minutes of an epic seesaw test match.
With 10 balls remaining, Australia win the third test match in the Sydney Green.
Ricky Ponting was arguably one of the toughest and the hardest captains in world cricket, but he walked over to Smith without a moment's hesitation to show respect for the bravery that they had witnessed.
No single player has more respect than this man, Graeme Smith.
Smith went on to raise a Test Series trophy in Australia for the very first time, and he also received the Player of the Series award for his magnificent batting contributions. Smith went on to be one of the most respected and most successful captains in world cricket, and that memorable day at the SCG is one of many pivotal moments that defined his career and his legacy forever.
I can't go anywhere in the world without actually talking people through that situation.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most iconic moments.
Tell me in the comments what's the bravest moment on a cricket field that you remember, and subscribe for more cricket content just like this.